Hey
All right.
guys!
Think we're live.
I think we did it. So if you are joining us from Instagram or Facebook, we are going to give y'all a few minutes to get on here. Yeah. See if we have anybody joining us yet.
Never done twice, two cameras at once here.
Yeah.
That's new. Actually, I've never really done Instagram Live. Only one time, really.
Hi. See, we have somebody
Hello.
from Facebook. Hello. Awesome. It's Bonnie. Hey, Bonnie. How are you? This is my husband, Dylan. Very good. Who else do we have coming in here? Just going to take a look up here. All right, got a couple people in here. Thank you guys so much for coming in on a Saturday night, hanging out with me and my husband, Dylan.
Yeah.
We will try to do our best to give you some good education and let you have a chance to ask some of your questions. So let's see, give it about 1 more minute for everybody to get in here and then we will get started. Awesome. All right, Bonnie's husband is watching. Hi, Bonnie's husband.
Hello.
This is so cool. I'm so glad we get to be together tonight. This is awesome. Yay technology. All right. Okay. Well, it's 8:32, so I'm going to go ahead and start. And if anybody did not get in, they can go back and watch it again. All right. So I'm Ann Wheeler. This is my husband, Dylan Wheeler. And we have been on a 7-year journey with my health issues. So I've been diagnosed with Adehsive Arachnoiditis, Ehlers Danlos syndrome, and Tarlov cyst disease. In 2015, I had 10 sacral Tarlov cysts operated on, and he's been here for all of it, so that's amazing. But anyways, in 2014, when it all started, he started researching what kind of holistic treatments we could do at home while we were trying to figure out what was going on. So this right here is the DiaDENS PCM3. It is an older model of what they now have, which is the DiaDENS PCM6. And I will include a link to that through my Amazon links as we get done with this video, in case you want to learn more about it. And then any other resources we talk about, I'll make sure I go back and add to the comments so that you guys have everything in one place, okay? So, Mr. Dylan, I'm just going to ask you the things that we talked about. Okay, so first of all, what is a DiaDENS?
What is a DiaDENS? This is a glorified TENS unit, is really what it is. The same people, I believe, that created the TENS unit were, I believe, Russians, and they continued their research and came up with this, originally called the Scanar device, S-C-A-N-A-R or E-R.
Yeah, A-R, I think.
I think that was the actual model or the brand. But that was the original device, and that was years and years ago. DiaDENS is made by a company called Danlos. This is also a Russian device. And the reason why we got this one is because it's the best priced and it does the most stuff for the money. Mm-hmm. And these are about, how much was it? It was either 300 or 500.
Yeah, they were 500 whenever we got them, but now I believe it's around 300 for the even better version. Yeah,
now they have, and so it came with a manual or like an ebook, and it has tons of treatments. Like it's crazy. Like anything you can think of, from a headache to stomach ache to, well, everything except for what we have.
Right?
You know, there's no, oh, go put this device here, turn it up to this setting, and no. Nope. You got to figure that out for yourself. And so, you know, that's been the frustrating part, is that a lot of people have no idea what these things are, and I would explain it to our friends, and they'd look at me like I have lobsters growing out of my ears, and they just think I'm just lost my crap, when actually this thing really does work. And, you know, for a long time, I was kind of, you know, like the same way with oils, I was approaching it with a lot of skepticism. Like, is this, snake oil, or does this thing really work, or is it just making me feel better or making her feel better? But, my mom's new husband, she got remarried about 5 years ago or something. I can't remember. But he's like a cowboy. Like a real cowboy. Like, live in the country, they don't like stuff like this, but he uses it. So, and my nieces, I've tested it on them before. What was wrong with her that day?
She just had upper respiratory stuff that day.
She was not feeling good at all. And she was, at the time, 8?
Yeah, she was young.
Anyways, I did this to her and put it on her neck and activated some,
Was it the lymphatic pump one?
Yeah.
We're kind of going off in the weeds, aren't we?
Yeah, we are. Anyways, it helped. Like, the next day, they were thinking about taking her to the hospital and all that. Getting her antibiotics. Anyway, she started feeling better.
Hold on, I gotta tell Lindsay real quick. This is a DiaDENS, and it is one of the treatment devices that I use for pain relief without medicine. I mean, I still have to take medicine for some of the issues, but we're gonna talk about what it does and how it helps the body produce, anyways.
Okay, does everybody know what a TENS unit is? Like, when I say TENS unit, y'all know what that is.
Yeah, y'all give us some hearts or some thumbs up if you know what a TENS unit is. I think that's something that a lot of people do know. Yes?
Like the little device that you put on your body with the pads and the electrodes.
Yeah, like physical therapists use it after treatments.
Yeah, you can get them at Walgreens. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yes,
so this is basically the same technology, but what it is that the electricity in this is very, very low, like way lower than the TENS unit. TENS units are much more powerful and stronger than this. So the reason why this is so low is because it's matching your body's electricity. Your body runs on electricity. And they have found out through science that whenever there's pain, whenever there's problems, whenever your body's trying to heal itself, it's having to produce new cells, and in order to do that, it needs a little bit of electricity. Your body runs on electricity. Whenever there's pain, there's a drop in voltage. And when I say that to people, they're like, it's crazy, but it's true. You can research it. Your brain works on electricity. So there's a guy named Jerry Tennant who, this is his book, Healing is Voltage. He is an MD who he helped develop LASIK surgery back in the early 90s. He got encephalitis through a patient he was operating on. And he was much like what you guys and Ann was in, the same situation, bedbound like crazy. Like, he had an infection in his spine and in his brain that he only could be cognitive for about 4 hours a day, and then he would sleep for like 16 hours a day. Anyways, he's a total nerd. When he gives all these speeches, right? And listening to him, he just goes on and on about all this research and data, and it's like, but he knows what he's talking about, but he has to be very careful because he operates under a naturopathic license, not his MD license. But if you want to learn more about the overall, in general concept of what these things do, he would be the guy that, and here's the book again. I don't know if it's backwards or whatever. You can get it on Amazon. And he still practices out of Colleyville, Texas.
Yeah, like we found him online, and then of all places, he was here like 10 minutes from our house.
And he created his own device and got it approved by the FDA, and it's really expensive. That's why we got this one. So we've had to do the balancing act of learning how to use this when he's talking about the other.
Yeah.
But it's basically all the same because it uses the same frequency of electricity. So what it's doing is that it's, when you put it on your skin, you're basically putting electricity into your body, and your brain recognizes it as the same frequency that it uses to heal itself. So basically you're assisting your brain and your body to jumpstart its own healing process. So your cells need 3 things, and this is what the kind of stuff this guy talks about. The cell needs, it's like a car. A car runs on fuel, air, and combustion, and electricity. The human body reproduces cells with oxygen, electricity, and I think something, I can't remember the third one. Anyway, it's not important.
We're not doctors.
Yeah, we're not doctors.
We're just sharing what we've learned.
Yeah, we're sharing our experiences. Disclaimer, we don't know all the technical stuff, but anyways. So what's kind of frustrating is that for a long time Anne was so weak that we couldn't even really use it.
Yeah.
Because it would send her into a flare, because you're sucking energy and putting a demand on your body basically. And your brain's having to say, okay, heal that area. So it's like taking all its resources and going there, and it's taking resources from other places in our body. And y'all know how it is. It's like you only have so many spoons, you only have so much energy to go around. And so she would just be in a flare. So we ran into a guy. Well,
I'll tell this part. So the naturopathic doctor.
Yeah, I've never met this guy. So Anne's side of the story.
So when before surgery, we realized like it gave about as much relief as using a TENS unit, maybe a little bit more. But the pain would always come back. And like Dylan said, if we did focused treatments, it would drain me. And so when we realized that, we kind of pulled our foot off the gas a little bit with pursuing that. And so I went through surgery in 2015, and then in trying to recover, we did a lot of other lifestyle changes and treatments and things. But when I found out about the adhesive arachnoiditis, once I knew that there was spinal issues and what they were, and the neuroinflammation in particular, I went back to my naturopathic doctor, who has been one of 2 holistic doctors who've helped me on this journey. And I asked her, because she was the one who actually told us about this guy, Jerry Tennant, and it being an alternative for pain management possibly down the road. So I asked her, I was like, hey, is there any other way that I can get education? And since the first time I talked to her to the next time I talked to her, she had made another contact in the industry. And so there was another guy who does coaching, who sells yet another device called the Avazio, A-V-A, whatever, Avazio. Yeah,
it's an American-made version of this.
Yeah. So, there's the Tenet biomodulator, which is like $8,000.
Well, it's like $2,000.
No.
Really?
No, I don't know. I thought it was like $8,000. And then you get all this clinical training, and it's great for like clinical use. And then there was the Avazio, which we didn't even know about, and that was, I don't know, $700.
Very comparable to Tenet's.
Yeah. But, very similar. And then anyways, so she said, hey, I have this contact with this guy. Maybe he can get you into one of his training classes so you guys can learn how to use it. Well, I mean, it was totally a God thing, because I called this guy out of nowhere, told him who I was, who sent me to talk to him. And he's like, okay, well, you know what? Why don't we figure out if your autonomic nervous system is working correctly, and like if your adrenals are shot. And so he had me like take my basal body temperature for a couple of days at the same time every day, and a couple of other things I can't remember. But anyways, it basically asked me to do some things and then come back to him and report what happened, because he was trying to figure out if maybe some of the things I was dealing with were crossing over with what his MS patients had dealt with. So he wanted me to do the same things they did and see what happened. So I did those things, came back, reported to him a few days later, and he's like, okay, well, you know what? I don't know about adhesive arachnoiditis. I don't know about Tarlov cyst disease, but I have helped and coached people through helping them recover, or at least greatly improve their life with MS.
Like neuroinflammation.
Yeah,
problems.
neuroinflammation issues. And so he said, what we need to do is calm down your autonomic nervous system. It's just over responsive. And he said, this is the type of treatment that you need to do for a long time. Like maybe a very long time. And it has been almost 3 years since I started doing it. And it took us a while to get to where we could do it more often because of the things that Dylan was, talking about earlier, how it would drain me. But we did the treatment that he recommended, and we've been really successful with it. And now I'm on a regimen where I do it every other day, or at least 3 times a week. and it keeps me out of major flares. And it's helped me get stronger, and I'm able to tolerate so much more of the treatment that we know that I'm improving.
Yeah, she's actually gotten to where she doesn't have a huge flare up from using this like a normal person would. It doesn't send her into a crash after we use it and kind of push the limits, I guess you could say. But what he told us to do is basically, in a nutshell, just go up and down both sides of the spinal cord. And just kind of like, see this thing, you use it like, you kind of rub it over your skin.
Yeah, like you turn it on like this. And then it lets you pick out the different frequencies. Yeah,
it's hard to see on the screen right now. But see this right here? This is metal. It's like positive and negative. You know, it runs on, it's an electric device. It's not magnetism. It runs on electricity like a TENS unit. So your skin touches, you touch it here and you just rub it. And the reason why you rub it is because you don't want to just hold it all the time, because sometimes it'll just kind of start, pulling at your muscles and making you twitch and stuff like that.
Just like a TENS unit.
Right, yeah. Exactly. So anyways, you rub up and down the spine, both sides. Yeah,
of the spine, and just next to it.
And it's basically just dumping, energy into your spinal cord. And so, I mean, you'd have to ask her how much it helps. I know that she has gotten more and more persistent about, hey, you need to do my treatment. You need to do my treatment. It's like the one thing, So we do it every other day. We try to do it on every off day. And it seems like the next day is when it makes her feel way better. Okay,
so you asked what it does. I think I talked to Bonnie about this, and maybe some other people too, that when you have like neuroinflammation, especially with adhesive arachnoiditis or like maybe some of the other spinal inflammation issues, you get like this buildup of like too much electricity in your spine. And you start to get like these zap feelings, and like these zap feelings in your spine, zap feelings in your brain, and it's just awful. It feels terrible. It feels like somebody short-circuited your nervous system. And when I start feeling that, like inside my spine and brain, I know, I'm like, oh my gosh, we missed last night, or, 2 nights ago. Can we please, lay down and do the DiaDENS today? Yeah. And so so I lay on my stomach, and he just starts, stroking on the left and right side of my spine, one section at a time. So he'll go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the other side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then move down a section. So it takes about 15 minutes, would you say? Yeah. I mean, sometimes we can do it in 10, sometimes we go a little bit longer. But man, about halfway through down the spine sides, I just feel this like wave of relaxation, and that pent up like electric shocking feeling starts to go away. And I think he said a lot of that had to do with like calming down the adrenal glands too. But anyways, it's just amazing. It's been super helpful and useful for me in those types of symptoms, but it also helps with like calming down the muscle contractures that are next to my spine. Because like, remember, I'll get like really, really stiff on one side of my spine. And so, and that's kind of a whole other story, like how to work out those certain areas. You don't just keep going down, but if you, should we talk about the stickies?
Yeah, see, we're opening a huge can of worms here, because this is such a different device. If you've ever heard of these before, it's a lot easier to talk about. But if you had no idea what this is, it's really hard to talk about because it makes you sound like a kook. Because you're talking about a completely different concept on, what this thing actually doing and why it's so awesome. And you have to embrace this general idea that your body needs a little bit of electricity. I'm talking like, this is such a small dosage of electricity. You're not really even supposed to hardly even feel it at all.
And right? There's different settings for what you need it for.
So so when there's pain, like I said, there's a drop in voltage. So and it shows you where you need it most, because you start to feel like the positive and negative pull of the electricity go toward that spot, and it gets sticky. It's
like
weird.
A magnet.
Yeah,
like it literally feels like it's stuck to you like a magnet.
It's easy to rub over the parts that you don't need.
Yeah.
But when you get to the part that hurts the most, it's like, and it just kind of is like your skin has a little bit of glue on it.
It's weird.
But you know, if we tried to stay there and rub that out and make it go away, because that's the idea, and we did that to Anne like years ago, that was a big no-no. I couldn't do that. I couldn't even hardly use this thing the way that you're supposed to use it. Mm-hmm. It's just really till this year that I'm actually able to kind of push the boundaries and see. It's like, okay, now I'm going to use this thing the way
on the next sticky. Yeah, like we'll keep going, and he'll be like, all right, you had like 4 or 5 sticky areas. I'm really going to, pull them out and see if we can get it to calm down. And so anyways, I'm able to do that now. But I guess that's what I really wanted to make sure you guys understood, that this is, it's working with your body to help your cells do their job that they already should be doing. And if you're in such a state of health crisis like I was when I first started using it, this is not, this may not be the only thing you need in your toolbox. You're going to have to work on other ways to get your body healthier. For acute issues, like for our kids and my mom before she had a knee replacement, like she would put it on the spot where it was sticky and we'd do a round of treatment on it. And she's like, oh my gosh, my knee feels so much better, So acute things, amazing, wonderful. And then for more chronic stuff, it's part of the process, but not all of it.
Well, really what it is also is that a lot of people have very little knowledge on what it is about the nervous system that is causing her and all you guys to suffer so much, because so little is known about the nervous system. And even in this, there's not a lot of data out there that teaches you how to heal your nerves, and how to reduce neuroinflammation with this right here. There's so many other things that this is for, that there's way more information about, headaches, or even, I'm trying to think of something that's even more painful and crazy than a headache. What is like
a bruise or something like that, like where you have a pain.
Like anything with your muscle or your bones or
my
your
mom
stomach.
with her knee, how that was.
It helps those things, but so I guess what we're trying to say is that we're still learning how to treat Anne, and now is the time for us to call this guy back that she talked to and say, okay, now we've gotten to that next step to where do you have any information to give us on how to help her nerves even further? Because we're all going to be learning here, but there's no doubt that this thing is well worth the money. And so when I first started telling you guys about this story and my whole criticism behind it, there was instances that I started to become a true believer, So it does work. That's
so funny. But long story short, there's a great resource for it. So any treatment and therapy that I've found along the way that's helpful, the ones that are the best ones are the ones that give you like a roadmap, right? Like Wall's protocol, there's a guide on how to use it. Tennant protocol with Dr. Forrest Tennant for AA and other neuroinflammation, there's a guide on how to use it. And then when we found this piece of the puzzle, there's a guide on how to use it. And there's also a really great, just so you know, we're going to video the treatment that he does on my back tonight, and we'll upload that later. We're not going to do that live, but that way you can see, what we do, and it's not that big a deal. And it works with essential oils. That was the other thing I wanted to say. When we were learning from Dr. Jerry Tennant, he was like telling us, essential oils and this device work much in the same way because they have different frequencies. That when you hit a certain frequency for a certain ailment, it will help your body heal that ailment. So again, not doctors, just repeating what he said. But yeah, if you use it with essential oils, then when you use it over that area where you've applied the essential oil, it helps it drive in even deeper into the cells. And, anyways. So
Guys, this stuff is really deep. Like, this guy, it's good that he's such a
thinker,
a scientist, really, because he does start to talk about some very odd, deep
philosophies.
They're not. I wouldn't call them philosophies. I would call them a practice, research. Cool. But he cites his research, and he is very methodical about what he shares. And I don't know if you are, have the desire to want to, go through all that stuff. But if you do, this book is about more than just these devices. He doesn't spend all his time in this book on this device. What Jerry Tennant talks about is like more of like a natural way of finding how your body heals.
So holistic,
he gets into the thyroid issues. He gets into heavy metal poisoning. Gets into how your body works, like that, and that everything has energy in it. Your muscles create energy when there's movement. There's like, because it's a little bit of electricity. When I say electricity, people might think, oh, that's crazy, but it's not like electricity that we're thinking like plugging something into a wall. It's a tiny amount of electricity that like I said, you can't really even feel the device on you most of the time.
Yep.
But your cells do need electricity in order to not heal themselves, because that's not what's happening. Your cells are reproducing new cells. Your body's reproducing new cells. Even right now as we're sitting here, they're constantly making new cells. And when you get hurt, there's a death of a whole bunch of cells, and your body quickly scrambles to try to reproduce new cells, and that takes energy, and it takes oxygen, and it takes water and all that stuff. And so that's why he talks about how our bodies get stuck inside of a chronic condition, because your body is continuing to try to heal itself, but it doesn't have what it needs to get to the next level. It doesn't have enough voltage, and he doesn't just leave it there. He's also talking about other things like
pH balance, right?
Nutrients and oxygen levels and your thyroid
just know that those kind of things. I've worked with holistic doctors to get on like the right supplementations that need to be added to my diet. So I don't necessarily use his book for that guidance, because I feel like not for lack of better words, I don't want to play doctor on myself. I want to get the substantial information that I need that's concrete from him, and then things where I need like labs and blood draws and urine tests and things like that to monitor my actual treatment progress. I want to go to a doctor for that. I'm not going to just throw a bunch of pills in my body. So anyways, I feel like we answered what we said we were going to answer. Someone asked what the difference was between a PEMF device and a DiaDENS, and really it's just that PEMF is using magnetic magnetism.
Yeah, electromagnetism.
Yeah, and so that's different because this is using
just straight electrons.
Yep.
Just millihertz.
Okay.
Millihertz of voltage.
Cool.
Which is very, very low.
All right, so I can see y'all's comments, and I don't want to keep everybody on here too long because I know you've made time to come on here tonight.
And it's Saturday night.
So if you have any questions that you want us to answer on the live before we leave, that's what we will be here for. And yeah, we just want to help.
Yeah, because you could really talk about this thing forever, because there's so many different parts to it that we just want to know what you guys are trying to find out about this. Mm-hmm. And we don't know everything about it. That's why we don't really, come on and make videos and say, hey, buy this thing, because we're still learning a lot too. I mean, y'all get it. I'm sure that every minute counts, and we haven't really had the time to really dig into that company that she mentioned, Adehsive. It's an American company. You can buy those. I think that if we buy another one, I want to get one of that brand, because they offer free training.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Aaron's asking if we can send a link. Yes, I will put the link in the comments after we close the class, because you should be able to see the comments afterwards. I'm going to put a link for the device, and then I'm going to put a link for this book in case anybody's interested in reading that. Yeah. And then the video tutorials that newer coach that I've gotten involved with gave me is called bonrichacademy.com. So I will put a link for that as well. And then that way you can look at some of the videos of how this works and kind of get some information understanding. You know, I don't care which device you get. I'm just sharing what we're using and the resources we've found, because, and like Dylan said, anytime I bring this up to somebody, they're like, what is that? You know, and they want to know more. They want to know how to use it with like the chronic health issues that a lot of you and I have suffered from, or like even some of my essential oil friends are like, what? I can make my essential oils work even better? Like how? That's crazy. Like, what do I do? So yes, we will put those links in there, and then I'm just going to check through the comments and make sure I didn't miss anybody's questions yet. Cool, we had somebody from Canada. Hello.
Awesome.
Very neat. Okay. Well, I guess that's it. If you guys have any more questions, feel free to leave them on the video comments even after the video's over. That is not a problem. I will go back and check, I promise. And then whenever we get the video done of Dylan doing the treatment on my back, I'll get it uploaded to probably YouTube. That's where I've been putting stuff on my channel about like health journey stuff and like actual treatments and things. And then I'll just put a link so you guys can find it, okay? And if I can upload it on Facebook directly, I will, but anyways.
Yeah, I'd like to take some screenshots of a few things in this book too. I mean, there's one really interesting thing he says.
Sure.
I guess maybe I'll read a little bit about this, because he talks about chronic conditions somewhere. I was just reading a few minutes ago. It's totally nerdy, man.
I like nerdy.
Well, this is really interesting. Like, this guy, he says some things that's pretty controversial. So right here, this graph, I don't know if you could see it.
We'll take a screenshot. Anyway, it's okay.
Basically, what he says is that all cancer begins at positive 30 millivolts in your body. So that's when you've dropped enough, you've lost enough electrons or voltage in your body to where your body actually is like gotten to that low state of such a state of low energy in your cellular structure that cancer starts to basically
form.
Yeah. But what's interesting, he says that they found that all cancer begins at that certain measure of voltage. And so in order to make new cells, you need like the opposite end of the graph, you know.
So yeah, we can take a screenshot of that if that's something you're interested in. Aaron says yes, do. And if we can find a page that kind of talks about a summary of the heavy metal toxicity, I will make a note of that to put a screenshot of that too.
Yeah.
And yeah, we will add that on there. I feel like, you know, I don't have all the answers. I know I don't have all the answers. And I know that I have some really amazing, smart, you know, men and women on this tonight. So please, I hope you weren't like, okay, what? Hopefully we gave you some kind of jumping off point. And hopefully, you know, the best thing that I'm good at is directing you to resources, because that's been the thing that's helped me the most, is just to go and, you know, seek out answers and get the right resources in my hands. So I hope that helps you guys too. And again, if you want to add any comments or questions after the class or after our Q&A, then that's fine. We'll leave it up.
We just wanted to share with you guys the overall, in general, idea and what this thing is and how we use it. And basically we don't know everything there is to know about these things, but every time Ann shares a success story and shares what we're doing, I kind of tap her on the shoulder and say, you know, that's not really all that we're doing. There's still that one thing. We hesitate talking about it because we're not like, you know, complete experts in this. You know, it's like it's opening Pandora's box a little bit. Opening up into another way of seeing and healing.
Yeah. But we are willing. Like, that's the whole thing. We've been praying about what we can do to help other people moving forward. So if this isn't it and you want to learn about other stuff, we'll be here to share whatever we've learned along the way. So anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing Saturday night. I'm glad you got to meet Dylan, and glad I got to hang out with you guys today. So thank y'all so much. I hope you have a great night.
Yeah.
I'll talk to you soon.
God bless you guys.
Bye.
Bye.